Letting Go by Martin Bissett. Dedicated to every person who had to overcome the opinions of authority figures in order to become their best selves. Time is like a dream. James was playing football in the schoolyard with his friends. He had not forgotten his childhood journey to the hill, but in becoming a teenager, he was distracted by the challenges and changes that his life was going through. A teacher appears from the school doors and shouts his name, telling James that he is required to come to the school reception immediately. James begins his journey from the playground to the school reception office. On entering through the door, all James can see is one long corridor, with a large set of stairs going down at one end and a small set of stairs going up at the far end. James stops 2 steps down and realizes that he is feeling fear about the unknown reason for going to reception. Looking to his right, he sees his peers, fellow schoolchildren, staring at him. Some are pointing, others are whispering, "He's in trouble." James couldn't think of anything he had done wrong, but still his fear slowed his steps as he walked down the staircase. At the bottom of the staircase were 2 huge glass doors. Stood in front of those glass doors was a teacher. James explains to the teacher that he'd been asked to go to reception, but the teacher would not let him past. The teacher looks down on him, telling him that he wasn't good enough, that he needed to try harder, that he wasn't going to make something of himself. The teacher warns James that he cannot get to where he's in a rush to get to without doing his homework in a certain way by a certain time. James sees no way of getting to reception other than to push past the teacher. Further along the corridor, James encounters a careers advisor. The careers advisor blocks his path and tells him that he can't get to reception. He had to get a job in a factory instead, because if James isn't studying for university, he can forget ever having the successful life that waits for him at reception. Successful life, thinks James. What on earth does that mean? James looks to his right and sees his peers staring through the window at him. Some are pointing at him. James sees no way of getting to reception other than to push past the careers advisor. As James progresses along the corridor, he encounters a man who owns a business. The businessman blocks his path and tells him that he would never be worth a lot of money and that James needs to do exactly as he's told because he's not allowed to do things his own way. James is told that he must conform. James looks to his right and sees his peers watching him, judging him, waiting to see what he'll do, and even learning from him. James sees no way of getting to reception other than to push past the businessman. As James approaches the small staircase that rises towards the reception, his progress is stopped by one more blockage. This time, it isn't a person in his way, it's a voice in his head. The voice sternly questions, Are you sure you're good enough? Are you sure you're doing the right thing? Are you sure you're not making a huge mistake? Are you sure you're going to get to the reception? Are you sure you shouldn't just give up? James stops and looks back at the journey so far. In doing so, none of the blockages that he has encountered are there anymore. Just an empty corridor. There are no faces at the window. James walks towards reception. In doing so, he realizes that he's been aging the entire time. He was 15 when he encountered his teacher. He was 17 when he encountered his careers advisor. He was in his 20s when he met the businessman. He was in his 30s when he heard the voice. Now, standing at reception, he's in his 40s. At reception, James's beautiful little daughter, Grace, is waiting for him. The little girl is young and innocent, and looks up with wide eyes towards her daddy. She wanted to see him to give him a big cuddle. That's the only reason she's there. Grace looks at James and says, "Can I have a cuddle, please, Daddy?" James bends down to hold her. James takes Grace into his arms and holds her as tightly as he possibly can. A long embrace ensues. After a lengthy pause, James hears a voice. This time, it's not the voice of a little girl, but rather of a young woman. "Daddy, I'm ready now." James lets go of his girl. His little girl is now a beautiful young woman in her high school uniform. Grace is ready to take on the very challenges that James has gone through. James realizes that it's time for him to let go. To let go of his fears and his protectiveness of Grace, so that she can fly and be strong herself. James understands that we all need roots to strengthen us and wings to fly. James sees that he could never have given his daughter roots or wings if he hadn't had to obtain them for himself. I understand that too. And I understand that because of a dream I had when I was 44 years old. Letting Go was written and read by Martin Bissett. Published by Upward Spiral Press 2024. All rights reserved.